All right, so Elon Musk and TikTok, huh? What do you think? Could this actually happen?
Well, it's definitely got everyone talking for sure. I mean, think about it. Musk buying TikTok, that's huge. It could completely change like the whole social media world, you know?
No, yeah, for sure. And we're talking serious money here, too.
Right.
Like, what, 40, $50 billion? That's basically what he paid for Twitter.
Yeah, it is. It just shows you how much he thinks TikTok is worth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's got to be more than just the money, though, right? TikTok's like a cultural phenomenon at this point. It's like what all the kids are using.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's driving trends, music, even like politics these days. It's pretty crazy.
So then the question is, what happens to all that if Musk takes over?
Right. What does a Musk TikTok even look like? Does he like amp up what's already there? Does he take it in a totally different direction? I mean, who knows? But it's definitely going to be interesting.
And then there's the whole, China thing. I mean, TikTok's Chinese, right? And that's been a whole issue here in the U.S., like data privacy and all that.
Yeah, that's a big one. It's complicated though, right? Because Musk does a lot of business in China with Tesla and all that.
True. Yeah. So maybe he could like smooth things over. I don't know.
Maybe. But then, I mean, buying TikTok could also make people here more suspicious, like the government and stuff.
It's like a really high stakes game. And then you've got other people involved too, right? Like, was it Frank McCourt?
Yeah, Frank McCourt. He's put in a bid too, like 20 billion, I think, with that whole Project Liberty thing.
Right. And then there's that, the guy with the stake in ByteDance.
Oh, Jeff, yes. Yeah, his company, Susquehanna, they own like 15% of ByteDance. So they're a major player in this too.
So it's like a three-way, I don't know, poker game or something.
Yeah, exactly. And the prize is like the biggest social media platform out there. No pressure, right?
So, all right, let's say Musk wins. What does that actually mean for TikTok, like for the app itself?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. Does he try to like merge it with X, the old Twitter? Or does he keep them separate? I mean, he could totally revamp the app, add new stuff, change the whole look. Or he could, just keep it mostly the same and just try to like make more money off of it.
And then there's content moderation. TikTok's got its own whole thing going on there, right?
Yeah, and Musk has been pretty vocal about, free speech and all that. So who knows what he'd do? He might loosen things up, let more stuff through, or maybe not.
So it's like a million different possibilities.
Yeah.
And we have no idea what's actually going to happen.
Nope. And that's what makes it so fascinating, right? So yeah, I mean, merging it with X, that would be wild. Imagine like TikTok videos right in your Twitter feed.
It'd be like a whole different beast, right?
Yeah.
But maybe, I don't know, maybe that's not the best move. Like, doesn't each platform kind of have its own vibe?
Oh, totally. I mean, that's what makes them successful, right? You go to TikTok for one thing, you go to Twitter for something else. But, I'm sure there'd be pressure to at least try and use some of TikTok's, magic for X.
Yeah, that algorithm, right? Like, everyone's always talking about how addictive it is.
Exactly. I mean, it's like the holy grail of social media, right? An algorithm that keeps people glued to their screens. Musk would want to tap into that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But, I mean, wouldn't that, like, change X too much? Like, would people even like it?
That's the big question, isn't it? I mean, can you really just, like, transplant an algorithm from one platform to another and expect it to work the same?
And then you got to think about all the, like, the legal stuff, too, right? Like, wouldn't this deal be, like, a huge red flag for the government?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, antitrust laws, data privacy, you name it. This thing's going to be under a microscope from day one.
Musk versus the feds, round 2.
Pretty much, yeah. But, let's zoom out for a second and think about, like, the bigger picture here. TikTok's not just an app. It's like a cultural force. Right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's influencing everything these days. Music, fashion, even, like, politics, right?
Exactly. So then, you got to ask what happens to all of that if Musk's in charge.
Right. Does he, like, double down on that cultural impact?
Maybe. I mean, he's definitely not afraid of the spotlight, right? He could use it to push his own ideas, his own brands. Who knows?
Yeah, true. He's not exactly known for being, like, subtle.
Yeah. But I mean, on the other hand, maybe he takes a step back and just lets TikTok do its thing.
Hard to imagine him just, like, sitting on the sidelines.
Right. I mean, think about it. He could bring in, like, all these crazy new features. He could partner with big creators, just totally shake things up.
It's, like, exciting and terrifying at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Like, what if he ruins what makes TikTok TikTok?
Yeah, there's always that risk. It's a delicate balance, appeal to the existing users, bring in new ones, all while staying ahead of the game. That's a tough job for anyone.
Like walking a tightrope.
Right.
And the stakes are, like, ridiculously high.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to admit, Musk's pulled her off before. He's not afraid to take risks. And a lot of times those risks pay off.
Yeah. He's kind of like the ultimate gambler or something.
Something like that. But, no matter what happens, this is going to be a story worth watching.
Absolutely. But amidst all the drama, let's not forget about the people actually using TikTok, right? Like, what about them?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to get lost in the big picture stuff, but ultimately it's the users users who are going to decide whether a Musk-owned TikTok succeeds or fails.
So yeah, it's all fun and games until you start thinking about like what it means for the people actually using TikTok.
Right, exactly. Like take data privacy, for example. That's already a big concern with TikTok, with the whole China connection and all that. But if Musk's in charge, I mean, that could get even more complicated.
Because he's got all those other companies, right? Like Tesla, SpaceX, and those things collect tons of data, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, they're practically data vacuum cleaners. And Musk's a big believer in, using AI and all that to personalize stuff, which on the one hand sounds cool, but it also kind of makes you think, like, how much control do I actually have over my own data?
Yeah, it's kind of a trade-off, isn't it? Like, yeah, personalized experiences sound great, but at what cost?
Exactly. It's a slippery slope. And then there's a whole question of like the content itself. TikTok's got this, this certain vibe. It's fun, it's creative, it feels real. But would that change under Musk?
Right, because he's got his own like whole thing going on, right? Like his sense of humor and all that.
Exactly. And it's not like he's known for being, super subtle. So yeah, he could definitely try to put his own stamp on things, which could be good, could be bad. Who knows?
And then there's content moderation. Musk's been pretty outspoken about that, like how he thinks other platforms are too sensory. So what does that mean for TikTok?
Yeah, that's a big one. I mean, TikTok does a decent job of, keeping the really bad stuff off.
Yeah.
But if Musk loosens the reins, things could get interesting, to say the least.
So it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't, right?
Yeah.
Like how do you keep people happy while also keeping the platform, safe and all that?
It's a tough balancing act. But zoom out for a second, right? Think about the bigger picture. I mean, we're talking about the possibility of like a major power shift in the whole social media landscape.
Right, because TikTok's already like shaking things up. Like Facebook and Instagram are definitely feeling the pressure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And if Musk comes in and just like throws gasoline on the fire, I mean, it could get really wild. Like the other platforms might have to completely reinvent themselves just to keep up.
Like a whole new arms race.
Yeah.
But it's not just about like who has the coolest features or whatever.
Right. It's about the whole, like the philosophy behind it, the values, the culture. And that's where Musk could really make a difference.
Because he's got like a whole vision for the future.
Yeah.
And TikTok could be like a way for him to try and like make that vision a reality.
Exactly. And that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating, right? I mean, it's not just about money. It's not just about technology. It's about like what kind of online world we want to live in and who gets to decide that.
So yeah, we've talked about like all the angles here, the money, the politics, the tech stuff, the cultural impact. It's a lot to wrap your head around.
Yeah, it is. And honestly, we've barely scratched the surface.
But I think the big takeaway is this whole Elon Musk TikTok thing, it's bigger than just a business deal. It could change like everything. And who knows what's going to happen next.